everyone. I wanted to talk today about this habit that we have of carrying on conversations within our own mind and without realizing that these inner conversations are creating the circumstances of our life. We are not aware of controlling our inner talking and our inner conversation, and that what we think sends out a vibration and creates the reality that we see in front of us. It's a habit we all have, and it's very important to control the nature and the direction of our inner conversations. You've heard it said, as a man thinketh, so is he. And a lot of times we blame others, we blame circumstances for the conditions of our life. But we know we create our own reality. And we may be having entire mental conversations all the time that are influencing what is happening to us. We have to be very aware of what we look at, what we listen to, what we feel, because this is creating our thought stream and that is creating our life. In order to renew ourselves and create the life we want, we have to put away the former conversations that we have had and focus on what we want. Create what we want by our inner talking. A lot of times we wish others would act differently, the way we want them to act, or we're not happy with them. But we don't realize that our thoughts are whispering to them. It's like birds that go out. So we have to think about where our thoughts are leading us. It's like a track. And your thoughts are like seeds you plant, and they go to a certain end. They will produce a certain effect. I first heard about this concept from Neville Goddard, who was a person who would preach about the Bible and just self-help concepts. And he presented this topic about our inner conversation leading us to the circumstances of our life. And he says we should put off the old man, which is the previous thoughts we have, and think of the new man, the thing we want to be. Otherwise, we go around and being disappointed. But really, if you are conscious and constantly stop and say, what am I thinking now? A lot of times it's negative thinking. Worries we have, doubts we have, fears we have. But your life is a revelation of what your inner speech has been. And even the Bible tells us every word that you speak, you will have to give an account for. The Bible says, by our words we shall be justified, or by our words we shall be condemned. So be aware of what you are saying. Neville also talks about that you can be a mediator on behalf of another by thinking about a certain person that you want to help. Let's say someone is looking for a job. Before you go to sleep at night, think of that person. Hear him call your name, call his name. Neville says, put your hand on the person and listen to the person telling you that they are so happy that they got this job, and get the tones of reality into the conversation. Feel as if you're really talking to the person. Express how happy you are for the person. Listen to how happy they are that they've achieved this thing that they want, and then ease into falling asleep. And we're told that this is how we can mediate on behalf of another. Or perhaps you have heard we can send our angel to speak to the angel of another person. I had never heard of these ideas, but I have been trying them. And if you, before you fall asleep, think about what you would like to see in your life and believe it. Think of it. How would it look like? What would it sound like? What would it feel like? Get the feeling of the wish fulfilled that you want. And then fall into sleep. And do that over and over and see what happens. I recently discovered this and I wanted to share it with you. But remember, the greatest gift we have is our imagination. We could image what we want. The greatest gift we have is our mind and our speech, what we say. Our words are very creative. Your words they're like birds. They go out and they will definitely have an effect. And when? Now. Now is the accepted time to be doing this. Now, your power is in the present moment. Remember, everything around you is your word made visible, your relationships. What inner conversations do you have about the people that you spend your time with? Are they positive conversations in your mind, or are you arguing with the people all day long? You have to control your inner speech. Think of your goals. What is your aim in life? Does your inner talking match what your aim is? Because, for example, if you want to lose weight, but you're telling yourself all day long that you don't like the way you look, it's not matching. Instead, if you're speaking in the direction of where you want to go, that's what you're going to create. Match your inner speech to your fulfilled desire, what you want to see without. As within, so without. You've heard it. As below, so above. So it's the same thing. All this is things you've heard of. But what I like to do in this channel is to share these ideas and spark interest in it within you, because it will resonate, because we're all connected. It's all true of all of us. We all do this, and we create the events and circumstances of our life by what's in our mind and what's in our speech. In the beginning, there was the Word, right? You've heard that. In the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. We are sparks of God energy. We are divine, and so our word also is creative. So be transformed by the words you say in your mind, by the words you say out loud. A change of speech is a change of mind. And when you change what you're saying and talking about, that's what you'll have. Whatever you talk about and you think about increases. What you think about, you bring about. So whatever you talk about and think about, you bring about. So remember, the mind of God is the mind of man. The mouth of God is the mouth of man. Neville brought this to my attention, and I hope you go back and look for his speeches and his writings, Neville Goddard. And I wanted to share with you. I always get up early every morning and I read and I listen to voices of wisdom from the past, voices, present voices, television voices, radio voices, book voices, all kinds of voices, and then I form my own opinion. Finally, it should be your own opinion. But these words spark our ideas, and a lot of times it's good to sit for ideas. Get into the silence, and when you sit in silence, you're able to hear your inner voice. And the time to do this is now. Start from wherever you are, because what you assume will harden into facts if you keep dwelling on it. So make sure you're dwelling on the very best. Neville says signs follow, they don't precede. So the signs will follow what you're thinking about and what you're talking about inside of you, okay? Your ideal that you want is waiting to be born. So think about what you want to happen and believe it. They say you have to believe it. When you believe it, you will see it, okay? And a lot of times people with their vicious words create battlegrounds. With their vicious thoughts create battleground. They create criticizing others and blaming others, and they're afraid of things and what you are focused on. They pour out their venom on everybody and then wonder why their life is devastated. And I never realized it. And when I started to do this and focus, I realized a lot of my thoughts was around things I was afraid of, things I was worried about, things I hoped wouldn't happen, going over things that didn't go the way I wanted them to go. Now I know that I can practice the art of revision, go over my day in my mind before I fall asleep and revise it. Trim away what I don't like and substitute in how I would have liked it to go. play it over in my mind, just like an author writes a play or a director directs a scene. Because this life is a play. We are in a theater, the theater of life. And so you have to be the leading lady, the leading man, the leading person in your life. And create the very best. Create the life you want. Use your imagination lovingly on behalf of yourself, on behalf of another. Create the life you want to live. Before you fall asleep at night, think about what you want the next day to look like. Go over the day you just had, and if there were parts you didn't like, rewrite them as you wish they would have been. If you got a letter you didn't like, rewrite it in your mind the way you would have been. And then the mood you get from the revision is what you're going to get next and what's going to come to you. So there's a saying in Philippians that says something in sort of like, give your mind to all that is noble, to all that is good, of good report, to all that is lovely, to all that is true for you, to all that is honest, to all that is just, to whatever you think has virtue, whatever you think you should praise, things like that. That's a saying in the Bible, and I have found that to be true. What I focus on, I bring about. I'm 62 years old, and I want to share with you things I've learned, no matter what your age is. I taught teenagers. I was a high school teacher, and I loved talking to teenagers and telling them these tidbits that I've discovered. And a lot of times they taught me a lot. They knew more than I knew. So let's think about this. What thoughts are we thinking that we are bringing about in our life situation? Focus on what your thoughts are thinking many times throughout the day. What thoughts, what vibration are you sending out? And I wish you a wonderful day, and I will see you soon. Just saying, with Josephine.